What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel, and it is going to be Prediction Monday. I'm pretty sure a lot of your favorite YouTubers will be dropping their NFL predictions for the 2019-2020 playoffs. And before we get into my predictions here for the playoffs, I kind of want to do a little bit of a recap of my video way back in the beginning of August, where I do think you very possibly have two of the worst starting tackles in the National Football League. They still might have two of the worst teams in the NFL. Where I kind of gave out my full season predictions to kind of see how smart I truly was this year, how on point I truly was this year. So then we could kind of use that and carry that with my, that weight, that knowledge. Like, oh, he was pretty damn smart this year. Maybe his playoff bracket's going to be truthful. Maybe I can use that and bet my house that the Green Bay Packers are not going to win the Super Bowl or something like that. So let's jump into that first, and then we'll get into the playoff bracket. Looking at the North, I have Baltimore winning it, just edging out the Browns. I mean, it could go either way, but I do think you very possibly have two playoff teams in the AFC North. I think the Ravens are going to be incredibly difficult to play against. I think they're going to be awkward. You know what they're going to do? It's just going to be tough to stop. I'm not as high on the Browns as others. I just think, while they did get a lot of flashy new weapons, they're still a first-year head coach. They still might have two of the worst starting tackles in the National Football League. They still have a defense who is really good on paper, but hasn't really started to play like an elite group. So, 9-70, I feel like, between 8-8 and 10 wins is where I have Pittsburgh finishing this year. And the Bengals, bottom dwellers, not very good. And, this is probably good. I think if you're a Bengals fan, you're probably hoping that they suck. You can move on from Andy Dalton. You can draft a good quarterback. So from the AFC North, looked kind of on point a little bit. I mean, I did have the Ravens winning, and they're right here. See, as your number one seed. I didn't know they're going to be the number one seed, but I had them winning. Then I did technically put the Cleveland Browns in the playoffs. I know a lot of people did, but the takeaway from that is I wasn't really a believer. It was just more so on paper, they should have got at least, above, way more. What they have, 6 wins. And then we had Pittsburgh not making the playoffs. And you look at the comments from that video, all the Steelers fans like, how do you not have us making the playoffs? We're going to make the playoffs. They didn't. And then you had the Bengals being, I think I had them the second worst team in the NFL. And I was just off on that. They were the worst team in the NFL. The AFC South, we have the Texans, who are all in on Laramie Tunsil. No more Jadeveon Clowney, but hey, they still got a really good defense. Concerns over the secondary, but I still think they're going to be, this is all in. They are the team right now, I think, and you look at the rest of the NFL, that has gone all in the most this season, which is kind of weird to say because they did just pretty much get trade raped for Jadeveon Clowney. But I think right now, Houston, they got a somewhat favorable schedule, 11-5. I think they do win that division. Titans at 10-6, outside looking in for the playoffs. They're a solid team, but this is going to be the big question for the Titans is going to be what happens with Marcus Mariota, especially if he gets, 8, 9, 10 wins somewhere in that territory. Is he good enough to give a contract extension, or do you need to look at moving this franchise in a different direction? We got the Jags at 9-7. Pains me to do this. Colts, big blow with nowhere Andrew Luck. They still have a great offensive line. Top to bottom, still a solid roster, but they don't have the QB. I don't see Brissett being more than a 500 quarterback. So, 6-10, still not bad. So when we look at who's representing the South, we have the Houston Texans, who I had as the divisional win. Tennessee Titans did squeak in. I did not, in my predictions, have them making the playoffs, but I did have them getting 10 wins, and they were able to squeak into the playoffs with 9 wins. So I feel like, you could probably push that one. That's like you split it. And then I had the Colts and Jags both failing to make the playoffs. Looking at the AFC East, we have the Patriots winning it. I don't know if they're going to win 12 wins, but I guess when you have to play in the AFC East, you almost get an automatic 8 wins every year. Your record's going to be a little bit inflated, but Patriots still are the top dogs. Bills, I made them my official dark horse, which the last 2 years, my dark horses, my preseason dark horses, even before preseason, pre-draft dark horses. Jacksonville 2 years ago, the Bears last year have gone on to make the playoffs. I made a bold prediction for the Bills. I think the Bills should be right in that mix for the wild card, but we have them at 9-7 here. Jets 6-10. Dolphins, they're tanking. They're just straight up tanking. AFC East, I don't know why I would have Bills as my official dark horse team and not in my own video have them make the playoffs. It was just what it was. But I had the Patriots, Bills. Patriots win the division, which they did. I had Buffalo. They were my dark horse, even though in the video, if you follow me on Twitter, I've been believing the Bills since day one. I didn't think they were going to get nearly as many wins as what they did, but they did get in via the wild card. So I'm taking that as an also dub. Finishing up, we have the AFC West. Chargers at 11-5. Now, we don't know what's going on with that running back scenario with Melvin Gordon, but still top to bottom, very, very complete roster outside of their offensive line. That should win them plenty of games. Well, Chiefs at 11-5. Andy Reid has this thing. Trust me, as an Eagle fan, I know this. When it's not broke, he fixes it. So, whatever worked last year to perfection, clearly, with Mahomes to make him MVP, Andy Reid's going to change it unnecessarily. We have the Raiders at 4-12, Broncos at 4-12. Then for the AFC West, kind of the first one that we botched a little bit. We did have the Chiefs making the playoffs, but we were really way off on the Chargers. But, that's the last time I'm ever going to put faith in Phillip Rivers or the Chargers for the rest of my life. Then jumping into the NFC, we have the Bears at 12-4, Packers 11-5, Vikings 10-6, Lions 5-11. For sure, I mean, I don't know about the win-losses, but I think that this is pretty much standard for how we think this division is going to go. I think Vikings are very much going to be on that bubble for playoffs. Packers, maybe all those young pieces on the defensive side of the ball. And then you look at the Bears. I think Bears, along with another team, could be, I'm not even going to say could be. They'll be my official predictions for the teams that are going to underperform this year. So I made sure I put that last little bit because it looks kind of rough having the Chicago Bears winning the NFC North. But then I also said they're going to be like the underperforming team, one of the two big underperforming teams that I thought coming into the season. So that's what we call playing both sides, playing it safe. Because the Bears actually play as well as they should have played, they would have made the playoffs. But then if they suck, like I kind of felt they would, we still come out ahead. I also had Green Bay making the playoffs, which was pretty good. Missed out on the Vikings, but I still had them as a good roster. But that's not much of a hot take. They were really good coming into the season. We'll go to the NFC South. We got the Saints first at 11-5, Falcons 10-6, Panthers 7-9, Bucks 3-13. So from the little bit on the NFC South, we had the Saints winning it, which came out pretty damn well. We had the Falcons making in via the wild card. That did not happen, but I did have a correct prediction saying Ron Rivera was going to get fired before the end of the season. So hey, there you go. That's the South for you. Look at the East. We had the Eagles at 12-4. Oh, I know the eye rolls, biased Eagle fan, but Eagles consensus right now, at least on paper. Everything's on paper. Top 4, top 5 team in the National Football League. They have a very easy schedule. Let's be completely honest. Redskins, Giants. They also play the AFC East, which has the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. I mean, Jesus. That's 6-7 wins right there alone. The fact that we're a great roster, if Carson Wentz stays healthy. I'm not going to say they're going to be the number 1 seed, and it's just how it happened. They're tied. There's a 3-way tie for the number 1 seed. I think Philly will be a top 3 team. So for the NFC East, obviously outside of me saying that Philly was going to win 12 games, so if we were healthy, who knows how many games we would have won. I had the exact order correct. Eagles, Cowboys, Redskins, Giants. I said Philly was going to be a top 3 team. I think I had them at number 3. Technically, they're the 4 seed, so I was pretty close when it came to that prediction. But obviously, when you're predicting the Eagles in particular, when all those injuries happened, you kind of throw your predictions out the window. But still, made the playoffs. And then finishing up in the NFC West, we have the Seahawks winning the division with a shiny new toy, Jadeveon Clowney on the defensive side of the ball, and one of the most talented quarterbacks in the National Football League in Russell Wilson at 11-5. The Rams. I said we had 2 teams. Me and my buddy were talking about they're going to underperform, and we both said Bears and Rams. That makes sense. We had the Niners at 8-8. They're solid, and they'll have an outright season enough so that they'll be optimistic next year that they can compete in the division. And Cardinals, I mean, they do have Kyler Murray, but still a bizarre head coach hire in Cliff Kingsbury. And then finishing with the NFC West, we were right by having the Seahawks make the playoffs, except that we didn't have to win the division. And our biggest L when it comes to predictions, without a shadow of doubt, was the 49ers being the number 1 seed. I thought they'd be kind of all right. But hey, I was kind of also right on the Rams and the Bears. Even though regardless of where I had the records in that video, I said they're going to underperform. They both underperformed. They're both arguably the 2 biggest underperforming teams in the NFL this year. So really the only L we took in terms of real predictions, I think, was the Niners. Everything else we kind of talked into existence, played both sides, and looked generally fairly smart predicting the 2019-2020 season. Now let's get into the playoff predictions. Finally. Okay, so we're going to start with the AFC wildcard. We have the Titans and Patriots. I'll start off by saying I put $40 on the Tennessee Titans to win this game. Going of how my bets in the NFL have worked lately, I'm saying New England finds a way to win this game. I don't want to bet. I don't want to be that guy, the hot take that bets against New England in the wild card. I'm playing both sides of this financially because for the video, I have New England winning, but for my actual money, I have the Titans winning. I think Tennessee's a bad matchup for New England on paper. Derrick Henry, the way they run the ball, the way they play action. AJ Brown, the rookie wide receiver at Ole Miss, is on fire. Their defense is playing well. And then you have New England Patriots limping into the playoffs, have not looked overly impressive. However, I'm not going to bet against Bill Belichick in one of their biggest question games, like do they really still have it, to not take away the best player on the Tennessee Titans, which is what New England always does. So I'm going to act like New England will find a way to take away Derrick Henry, and then it's going to go on the honor Ryan Tannehill. They have a lot of experience stopping Ryan Tannehill, and I think it could play out very similarly to how the Titans-Saints game a couple weeks ago played out, where Derrick Henry missed the game due to injury. And while it was kind of close, Titans just didn't have that little bit of, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, if you're bilingual, to beat the Saints. They just didn't have that. Like, they're not that good of a roster, not that deep of a roster to go to someone else if Derrick Henry's not there. And I feel like New England will do enough. But I wouldn't be surprised. Like, this is a really toss-up matchup, especially A.J. Brown, the rookie wide receiver. Like I said, he's on fire right now. Derrick Henry's on fire. But I just can't, at this point, bet against New England in the wild card, knowing that they just take away the best player. So you take away Derrick Henry from the Titans. If they can do that, I mean, Derrick Henry's a man possessed right now. But if they do that, if they do what the Patriots always do, I don't think Titans, with Derrick Henry not having a huge game, can win this matchup. Then we have the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. I've flip-flopped on this because, I want to feel like a smart-ass because I made the Bills my preseason favorites to just, go from not making the playoffs or being shitty to making the playoffs. However, I think push comes to shove. I think Buffalo Bills defense can definitely cause the Houston Texans offense a lot of headaches. I think they could definitely stifle the Houston Texans offense. They've been hot and cold. However, if that doesn't work, they're going to have to score points. And I don't think in a head-to-head matchup, Josh Allen can outscore, Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, Carlos Hyde. So while I'm kind of pulling for the Bills a little bit, I also like the Texans. I'm watching this game as a straight neutral. And I just think when push comes to shove, unless the Buffalo Bills completely shuts down Houston's offense, which they could, I just think more sides favor for the Houston Texans to win this matchup. So they move on. You might as well just stay in the AFC. So then we have Baltimore and Houston. Again, we already saw how this matchup played out. I think Baltimore is going to be incredibly difficult to beat this year. Texans just don't have the defense. They don't have the personnel to stop them. I mean, J.J. Watt might be coming back, but I don't think that's enough right now. Then we have New England and Kansas City. Honestly, I just think the Patriots defense, they'll find a way to stop one of the weapons on Kansas City, but not enough. And there's no way that offense right now that's limping is going to be able to keep up with a Kansas City Chiefs offense. The Chiefs defense is actually playing their best football of the season right now. So I think they make the AFC Championship game, and it's going to be the Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. Going here to the wild card, we have the Saints and Vikings. Easy. Vikings, Kirk Cousins doesn't win the big games. I think New Orleans, honestly, New Orleans is the best team in the NFC right now. So, as a neutral, as a neutral this matchup, that is, we have the Eagles over here. I kind of hope the Vikings win because I definitely like the Eagles' chances a lot more if we somehow progress against the Vikings versus the Saints. But the Saints are just too damn good. We have the Seahawks and Eagles. Seahawks are limping in right now, desperate at running back. Michael Kendrick, starting linebacker, just tore his ACL because he was a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, so therefore you must have players that get hurt. I think Philly wins this match. It's in Philly. I think the Eagles they're getting hot at the right time. I think Carson Wentz is playing the best football of his career, maybe, given the weapons around him. I think Philly upsets Seattle, even though since I've been a fan, I think Philly's 1-7 against the Seahawks. This is at the link. The Seahawks are, they're probably, if you look at the two teams here that are the most banged up, it would be most likely the Seahawks and the Eagles. I think Eagles are more accustomed to that. Seattle has not looked great down the stretch. I think Philly wins this one. We have the Packers and Saints. Give me the Saints. I think the Saints are just better on both sides of the ball, whereas Green Bay, they're really hot and cold. Their defense has been much improved this year, one of the better defenses in the NFC. However, it feels like you don't know what you're going to get offensively. Every other week, it's Aaron Rodgers making, all average wide receivers. I mean, the Packers wide receiver room is not as bad as Philly's, but they're also not good. Sometimes they make plays, sometimes they don't. I feel like the Saints are just a little bit more consistent. Now, when we come here, I honestly believe, and everyone's going to click on this video, I honestly think out of all the teams that make this, of the good teams, so we'll eliminate the Vikings, we'll eliminate the Seahawks right now, even though I don't want to put disrespect on them. They're a solid roster. They got Russell Wilson. You always have a chance. I think Philly matches up best if we get to this round. If you're okay, let's just get to this round. Philly versus Houston, Baltimore, New England, Kansas City, San Francisco, New Orleans, Green Bay. Maybe Green Bay because we beat them, but I think Philly matches up best to beat the 49ers. Philly, all in, is against stopping the run. Philly can stop the run more often than not. That is what the Niners want to do. If they can't run the ball and have to rely on the arm of Jimmy Garoppolo, it's not going to be a good day. What do you got? Richard Sherman? Who's he going to cover? Greg Ward? Like, we don't have that wide receiver one that Richard Sherman can take away. We're end up throwing it to other people. I honestly, this will be my hot take. If this plays out this way, if Philly can beat Seattle, I'm gonna actually I don't put money on the Eagles. I don't gamble on the Eagles because then when they lose, it stings twice as much. I think Philly can beat San Francisco. Like, think about it. What are the Niners good at? They run the ball, right? They run the ball. They run off play action to try to find Kittle. What are the Eagles good at? Stopping the run, covering tight ends. So, we match up as well as we possibly could against their offense. What is the Niners defense good at? Right? They got solid linebackers, but they're not great at covering tight ends. They're more so covering running backs out the backfield. And they have Richard Sherman that can shut down the team's number one wide receiver. Well, Philly doesn't have that number one wide receiver that Richard Sherman can cover, and we don't really utilize the running backs out the backfield enough so that like we'll just burn you with Kittle, or we'll burn you with Zach Ertz, or we'll burn you with Dallas Goedert. So, this is going against the grain. I'll be honest. In this matchup, smart money's taking the Niners because the Eagles, my God, we lost to the goddamn Dolphins. But I think there's a legit chance there. Just to make it so he's not having the Eagles win the Super Bowl. I think if Philly plays Saints, much like the Seahawks, those are the two teams. Since I've been an Eagles fan, the Saints and Seahawks, Philly just can't beat them. But I think if Philly can find a way to make it the AFC Championship game, that is a miracle given the injuries they've had this season. Because you look at 49ers. Oh, what injuries have they had? None really. Couple offensive linemen here and there. So we have the Saints winning there. Chiefs and Ravens. I honestly feel in this matchup, I'll go with the Ravens. The Ravens are so damn good right now. They're so hot. And Ravens win the Super Bowl. There you go. I just think Ravens-Chiefs, that's going to be a close matchup. I think push comes to shove, though, that Chiefs defense is the weakness, the deciding factor between these two. And then you have the Ravens and Saints make the playoffs. I just don't. I think it will be a close matchup, but I'm siding with Lamar on this one. I just feel like Drew Brees too old. He's too old man Brees for him to come out. Alvin Kamara far too inconsistent this year versus everything on the Ravens that's been working good. So this is my playoff predictions. Your Super Bowl winner will be the Baltimore Ravens. I already know all the eye rolls having the Eagles go here, but there you go. Let me know you guys' playoff predictions in the comment section below. As always, first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Tomorrow, I'll be dropping a 32-team first-round mock draft, a new one, a fresh one, mock draft 2.0. So I'm sure you guys will like that. So until then, though, it's C4 saying peace out.